The desert wind had been howling for 3 days straight when Sergeant Major Thomas, Iron Tom, Hargrove first laid eyes on the machine that would change his life forever. It was the summer of 1942, and the scorching sands of North Africa were soaked with the blood of thousands of soldiers from both sides of the war. The Allied forces had been pushing against Rommel's Afrika Korps for months, and every piece of machinery, every bolt, every tire was precious beyond gold. Hargrove was a seasoned veteran, a man who had seen tanks burn and men fall, but nothing quite prepared him for the sight of this particular armored car sitting half buried in a sand dune near the outskirts of Tobruk. It was a Humber armored car, one of Britain's finest four-wheeled fighting machines, and it had clearly seen better days. The sandy desert paint, which had once been applied in a precise military finish, was now cracked and peeling, eaten away by the merciless combination of sun, sand, and the passage of brutal combat. The body was dented and scarred, the metal telling stories of bullets deflected and explosions survived. Yet somehow, despite all odds, the vehicle still sat on all four of its thick, heavy-duty tires, as if it refused to surrender to the desert or to war itself. Hargrove walked around it slowly, running his hand along the rough armored sides, feeling the dents and scrapes beneath his fingers. He could almost hear the machine breathing, like a wounded soldier who still had fight left in him. The open-top turret ring was empty. Whoever had manned the weapon there was long gone, but the basic structure of the vehicle remained intact, a testament to the engineering brilliance of the British designers who had built it. The Humber armored car had been developed in the early years of the war as a fast-moving reconnaissance and patrol vehicle. It was built on a reinforced four-wheel drive chassis, giving it the ability to traverse rough terrain that would have stopped lighter vehicles cold. It measured roughly 15 feet in length and weighed in at approximately 7 tons when fully equipped, making it a substantial presence on any battlefield. Powered by a 6-cylinder petrol engine, it was capable of reaching speeds of up to 45 miles per hour on open roads, though in the desert, speed was always at the mercy of the terrain. The armor plating that surrounded the crew compartment was designed to withstand small arms fire and shell fragments, providing meaningful protection without sacrificing too much mobility, a careful balance that the designers had worked hard to achieve. Hargrove called over his mechanic, a young Welsh private named Davies who had an almost supernatural ability to coax life out of dying machines. Davies circled the vehicle twice, dropped to his knees to examine the undercarriage, and then stood up with a grin spreading across his dusty face. He told the sergeant major that with a day's work and the right parts, he could have her running again. That news was worth more than a week's rations. The crew spent the next 24 hours working on the armored car under the cover of darkness, not wanting to attract enemy aircraft or ground patrols. They sourced spare parts from 2 other wrecked vehicles they found nearby, a practice the desert soldiers had turned into a fine art, and Davies worked with quiet, determined precision, his hands moving through the engine with the confidence of a man who spoke the language of machines. By the time the sun rose on the second morning, the engine turned over with a deep, rattling cough, then settled into a rough but steady growl. The sound was magnificent. Hargrove named her Desert Rose, though the nickname felt somewhat ironic given the brutal, war-scarred appearance of the machine. She was painted in the standard sand yellow that the British forces used across the North African theater, a color that allowed her to blend into the landscape and avoid detection from a distance. Up close, however, she looked every inch the veteran she was, worn, battered, and utterly unafraid. Over the following weeks, Desert Rose became something of a legend in their unit. Hargrove and his 4-man crew used her for reconnaissance missions deep behind enemy lines, relying on her speed and armor to get them in and out of dangerous territory. She carried them through ambushes, across mined roads, and through sandstorms so thick that visibility dropped to 0. Twice, she absorbed direct hits from enemy fire and kept moving. The crew came to think of her as something more than a machine. She had personality, stubbornness, and an almost living determination to keep going no matter what the desert or the enemy threw at her. The Humber armored car was a vehicle of its era, designed for a specific kind of warfare that combined speed with firepower and a degree of protection that earlier armored cars had lacked. British engineers had learned hard lessons from the First World War and from the early campaigns of the Second, and those lessons were built into every plate of armor and every component of Desert Rose's frame. The vehicle typically carried a crew of 3 to 4 men, depending on the configuration, and was armed with a combination of weapons that varied by variant. Some carried anti-tank rifles, others machine guns, and later versions were equipped with heavier armament to keep pace with evolving battlefield demands. What made the Humber stand out from many of its contemporaries was its reliability. In a theater of war where heat, sand, and distance conspired to destroy machinery at a terrifying rate, reliability was not just a desirable quality, it was the difference between life and death. Hargrove understood this better than anyone. He had seen men die because their vehicles failed them at critical moments, and he treated Desert Rose with the kind of care that a cavalryman of an earlier age would have given his horse. After the North African campaign drew to a close and the Allied forces prepared to push into Sicily and then Italy, Desert Rose was eventually left behind, her engine finally giving out after one mission too many, her frame too damaged to justify the effort of transport. Hargrove stood beside her for a long moment before walking away, placing his hand on her warm metal side one last time. He never forgot her. Decades later, historians and collectors would seek out surviving Humber armored cars, recognizing them as important artifacts of a war that shaped the modern world. The vehicles that survived, many of them in conditions not unlike Desert Rose in her final days, now sit in museums and private collections, their sand-colored paint and battle-worn bodies telling stories that no written account could fully capture. They are reminders of the men who drove them, the mechanics who kept them running, and the battles they fought across the burning sands of history. The armored car in the image before you carries all of those stories in its metal skin, every dent a memory, every scratch a chapter, every rust spot a whisper from the past. It is more than a vehicle. It is a monument to human endurance, mechanical ingenuity, and the unbreakable will to keep moving forward no matter what stands in the way. If you found this story fascinating and want to explore more incredible histories of legendary vehicles, wartime machines, and forgotten stories from history, please make sure to like, share, and subscribe to our channel CarPoint and History, where every vehicle has a story worth telling. And every story brings history back to life.